The evolution of Abuja as the capital city of Nigeria started on February 3, 1976, when the head of the federal military government, Murtala Mohammed, in a nationwide broadcast announced the creation of the Federal Capital Territory. If our calculations are in place, Abuja will be looking to celebrate 48 years this year. For a 48-year-old, how well have we fared? Let me warmly welcome you to another fresh episode of On Abuja. My name is Cynthia Agbo. On this episode, we are looking at the administration of the FCT. Those in charge, have they led well so far? And can they perform well? If they haven't, I will be right back. Abuja is the administrative capital of Nigeria. It is home to millions of Nigerians and most definitely a tourist destination for thousands of people. But beyond that, how well do you know the happenings in the federal capital city? Join us on On Abuja every Monday and Thursday on Rapid Television, channel 176 on Star Times, as we give you inside stories, latest project executed, first-hand information from the right sources, and answer all your burning questions relating to the Federal Capital Territory. On Abuja, we are here for you. Welcome back. Abuja as a Federal Capital Territory is a creation of Section 297 of the Nigerian Constitution, which states that there shall be a Federal Capital Territory. The Constitution further states that the Capital Territory shall be treated as if were a state. Therefore, the President and Vice President shall be seen as the Governor and Deputy Governor. The National Assembly has the legislative power over the FCT, while the Federal Executive Council serves as its State Executive Council. Now, Section 302 of the Constitution gives the President the prerogative to appoint anyone as the Minister of the FCT if he so chooses, or act as the Minister if he prefers not to delegate that particular role. Now, over the years, the FCT has witnessed the different ministers who have tried in different ways to be outstanding, although there are some reservations. Let's now get to hear from the people.
Okay, yes, this present government, which is led also by the President Tinubu, and then the Minister of the FCT, Wike, I can see that, yes, there are work going on in Abuja right now, because if you go to this Asokoro area, you can see that the road is being, tiled, and then even this old CBN, and then like the past administration, actually, there have been like a lot of abandoned of projects, most especially the road, this low road leading to Apo area, and then that of the Area 1 also. They have been abandoned for months now. So all we are expecting is that this new government, they are going to do a lot, you understand? All the promises that they promised, we want to see that those promises are fulfilled. Because we are tired of promise and fail government, you understand? And then we believe that this present government is going to do well. And then they have mapped out some roads, as we see, that they are going to do. Even Lugbe, I resident in Lugbe area, you understand? So the road between those Amak road, we are expecting that those roads that are awarded, that they should. And then the minister should monitor all those awards, all those projects that he gave out for proper results.
They should emulate? Is there anything they should emulate from the previous governments?
I don't think that there's a lot of emulation from the previous government, you understand? I just want to say that what Wike did in his own state when he was the governor, he should bring that work to FCT here. Well, my area is well mapped out, you understand? I don't see that any demolition should come there. All we want is that the road, if there is any structure that is not properly approved, yes, there should be like a notice given, and then once the notice elapses, we can go ahead and do whatever. Yes, but there should be compensation from the government.
My dear, what I just seen now, I see that they are just starting, and things are not yet normal. So things are not yet settled. We don't know where we are standing now. That is the main issue. Everywhere is very hot. Don't know where we are standing. They are talking of demolition, 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 demolition. So don't know where we are standing now. We are just standing with one leg. The government promised us protection. That then when they come, things will be normal. And what we are seeing now is very, very obvious, my brother. It's too much. People are afraid. Even for move from one place to another, it's really terrible. A lot of boys everywhere here and there, they are not doing anything. They are finding something to eat on their own. They are using the opportunity to be doing all kinds of things. So the thing is really terrible. My people even coming from village the other time say they are kidnapping people. Have you reached your side? I say no, I'm not. In Abuja here, my people coming from east. And they're hearing about kidnapping. I just tell them we are just in the hand of God. That's the only thing.
Do you think this present administration can emulate anything from the previous one?
My brother, this present government, I think that everybody they on their own. Formerly, the former government, their things they are calm. But this one now is really terrible. So that's the only thing I have to say. Really terrible. Really terrible. Don't know where we're heading to. Unless if they will do something better. If they do something better, but as for presently now, there is fire on the mountain everywhere.
The representative, they are trying for us in time of security and how what we are facing around in the country and in the society around. According to my own understanding and what is going on in the world, the masses are complaining because some of them they cannot move to their previous work in Abuja here. So some of them are crying for money concerning fuel, how things are cost. Some of them they are not well paid. Yes, concerning the Abuja now and in terms of the security itself, if we check around now, they are kidnapping and killing are going other places. So me, for my own advice, the minister and the area council's chairman and the representative, especially the FCT senators, they should try and show concern for their own residents because they were elected there. We the masses, we are the one that voted them. So when we are crying that they should come and help us, at least they should show their own interest to come and help us because we the residents, we have been suffering, we have been passing through a lot of many things, which is the truth supposed to be carried.
So what method do you think this present administration is to apply to better the government in FCT?
Well, this present administration needs to show their own concern on the people that they are living in this present Abuja here, because now they are facing a lot of things happening. So the government to show concern to help the youth, and they should also develop the people that they are staying in the thing. Like majority, they have many graduates that they are not working in many places. Some of them they are facing their hand working, which is they have the qualified and they are qualified, they have the experience to work in any government area offices like that. So well, Wike is a leader that work with what he deserves and what he says and with his own action. Well, the things that Wike is doing is action. Like last week, Wike tried to host a meeting with the traditional rulers in the FCT Amak here, which is he have started in Buhari area council there, and Wike has come back to Amak to address other kings and the police department and the district head and so other political parties, all those zero parties too, how to join hands together and move in terms of security because we are facing a lot. So I'm showing concern that UK should show concern, and the state FCT minister let us show concern to let them shake hands together with their representatives so that they will provide the need for the masses because the masses are crying.
to the present, some say Mr. Nyesom Wike will face some administrative restraint in administering the city. Unlike the State House of Assembly, which is largely under the control of state governors, the FCT committees of the House of Representatives and the Senate will have oversight over the new minister. Now, the budget of the territory is approved by the two chambers of the National Assembly. Similarly, Mr. Wike will be administering the FCT at the pleasure of the president, who has the power to sack any minister. Now, during his tenure as governor of Rivers State, Mr. Wike was known for his hard stance and straight talking. Immediately after his appointment, he was accused of demolishing buildings belonging to his political opponents. He will now need the support of the president to be able to take drastic actions. But Mr. Wike is not new to the politics of the federal cabinet. He served as Minister of State for Education under President Goodluck Jonathan. Should not be a challenge for Mr. Wike because the financial status of Rivers State and FCT are some way similar. Now, the last budget, as we know, he signed as governor was about 555.66 billion, while the 2023 budget of the FCT is about 579.69 billion. Now, you would say there's a bit similar there. Now, we'll go on a short break. When we come back, I will be introducing my guest, who's going to be joining me in the studio to talk about the administration of the FCT. And then we're going to be weighing some of the things, how well we think that Mr. Wike can do as the FCT minister. And of course, try to a little bit touch into previous ministers that we've had. And if there have been any significant development so far. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Abuja is the administrative capital of Nigeria. It is home to millions of Nigerians and most definitely a tourist destination for thousands of people. But beyond that, how well do you know the happenings in the federal capital city? Join us on On Abuja every Monday and Thursday on Rapid Television, channel 176 on Star Times, as we give you inside stories, latest project executed, first-hand information from the right sources, and answer all your burning questions relating to the Federal Capital Territory. On Abuja, we are here for you. All right, welcome back. It's still On Abuja right here on Rapid Television channel 176. If you're joining us, this is the part where I get to introduce my guests. And with me in the studio, I have the zonal coordinator, RS7 headquarter, engineer Usman Adadi. Good to have you on the show. Good evening.
Good evening. It's nice to see you. Happy New Year.
Same to you, actually. All right, so, you are one person who is not naive or a novice to the administration, the FCT. Let's now look at that briefly. How would you describe the administration of the FCT so far?
Well, it depends on where you want us to view it from. Maybe with the present administration or the previous administration. Well, looking at it from the previous administration, you will agree with me that at the time the Federal Capital Territory was formed, it was like a child that was given birth to, that will have to learn to sit, learn to crawl, and of course at a point begin to manage to stagger, to move from one point to the other, and of course get to a point he has to walk and then walk properly and grow into an adult. Well, it is a stage, it's an evolution period. The Federal Capital Territory has moved from its creation to where it is today. Don't forget, just like you said, FCT is like a state, but of course it's not a state. It's not a state in the sense that we don't have governor. The governor of FCT is the president. And of course the president, in quote, is the governor of all the states of the federation.
Sure.
So FCT is not different from what, of course, the president does on every other state of the federation. And of course, looking at the National Assembly, administering legislatively on the federal capital is something that the people of FCT will have to learn. Over time, part of federal capital was in Niger, part was in Nasarawa, part was in Kogi, and of course they were under the administration of an elected governor, of an appointed governor, as the case may be, in the case of military administration. But today, they have to be faced with having to be administered legislatively by the National Assembly, and of course with a minister serving as the governor of the state. So it's a different ballgame altogether. But so far, so good. The ministers that have been appointed in the time past have done their bit. They've tried, but we're not where we need to be yet. Because I know someday, somehow, we'll get to where we have to be.
Okay, yes, we are not where I like that part. That we are clocked by February 3, we will be 48 years old.
Yeah.
The FCT will be 48. For a man who is 48, I won't say a woman now, okay? So for a man who is 48, how would you rate the progress of the FCT before I begin to talk about the FCT minister? So before we talk about the current FCT minister, because you might want to say, okay, he's just about a couple of months old. But let us speak from the time the FCT was created till the previous minister. So for a 48-year-old man, how well, has he really attained adulthood?
Wonderfully well. Wonderfully well. If you were made to have come into Abuja 48 years ago, and then you return back to Abuja now, you will know that a lot of transformation has taken place. I'm sure where we are seated today, in the last 30 years, you can't stay there, you can't be here. So much has been done in the federal capital. That is why I said it's a process. And we are not where we ought to be, or where we need to be, or where we want to be. But gradually, we are winding towards that part. First and foremost, there were original inhabitants of this land prior to the creation of the federal capital territory here. The previous government had been faced with an issue of relocation, and of course, there's what we call the issue of land swap, the issue of relocating the original inhabitants from where they are known as the ancestral land to other places where they should be, to give way for development. The previous government have been faced with that. The previous government have been faced with the issue of creation of satellite towns. Satellite towns like Kubwa, Gwarimpa, Sokoro, name them, away from the city center. And it is not a child's play. So for you to be able to work with the master plan, it takes a whole lot. It brings in a whole lot of professionals. So that brings us to the fact that most of the ministers that have been appointed in the time past are people who have been in governance for some time, who have an understanding of what governance is all about and of what it means to bring a state, or so to speak, a federal capital, or let me use the word state, a state that has just been created into limelight, into competing favorably with other states, within the country. So that is what they have been faced with. So all the ministers appointed in the federal capital has done their bit. Some have been faced with the issue of creating more satellite towns than the one they met. Some have been faced with the issue of creation of roads, infrastructures, ensuring that the master plan is not tampered with, even though we have seen that over times some miscreants, I'm sorry to use that word, have tampered with the satellite plan, because in every organization you always find a Judah, you always find people who, of course, act out of what the law says they should do. So the governance have been all about that. But till this very moment, a lot has been done. Let me look at the last administration before this particular one. Under the administration of Musa Bello. Yes, Musa Bello was one man who came and said, look, we have a federal capital. There are contracts that have been awarded since the creation of the federal capital. Most of them have been left unattended to. What we do, since government is continuous, we cannot go into awarding new contracts or awarding lands to deserving persons without having to deal with the previous ones, ensuring that those ones that have been on ground before now have been taken care of. So when he came, his focus mainly was to take care of every contract, every construction work, every social amenity that have been awarded prior to his assumption of office as minister.
Are you referring to this one before we came?
The one before we came.
Because this same administration, some persons argue that he was the most.
That is why that is why I'm trying to give a clarity on some of these issues, because sometimes what you don't know, you don't know. Now, people believe in, if I am, for instance, as a politician, for instance, most of us that are in politics somehow, what we like most is once an administration comes aboard, especially if it's about your political party, you want to run to that administration, you want to run to those who are at the heads of affairs and say, look, we need to have contracts, we need to have lands allocated to us, we need to be part of all activities. Now, once that is not forthcoming, it becomes a problem. Even from your party front, you begin to have challenges, you begin to have attack. Now, the previous administration was faced with ensuring that all the contracts, the social amenities that are supposed to be in place, that were awarded by previous government, when I mean previous government, right from the time FCT was created, to the time he came in as ministers, were taken care of. But some people who had forgotten that they had a contract were recalled back. Come back. This roads there was supposed to have been done. What happened? Why was it not done? That construction, that building was supposed to be in this place. Why was it not there? So they were faced with that. And that needs time. I'm sure that informs the reasons why the president returned him for a second time to come and continue with those activities that were done. So if you observe, you will agree with me that he was not keen about awarding fresh contracts. A lot of people didn't get fresh contracts, but there were construction and contract work going on. How were those things put in place? It was like, let us study up what we have on ground. This comment is continuous before we go to the new one.
Would you say that informed why some persons felt like he was, some use the word stingy, some use the word not, aligning with the people?
Well, the little I know of Musa Bello was a man that he wants square pegs in square hole. And most people are not really comfortable, especially when it becomes within a democratic setup. They are not comfortable with having square pegs in square hole. It does not put food on their table the way they want it to be. So Musa Bello was not with that school of thought. So his own way of administering his governance was completely different. Now this is a man, I'm sure those of you in the media also must have known, this is a man that if you give him a circle for his trips and then he goes and returns, whatever is left, he returns it back to the coffers. He has done it time with. I remember once upon a time where the wife was supposed to travel with the then wife of the president. And she came and said, look, there need to be some budgets to assist your wife in this trip. He said, no, she's not a minister. I am the minister. So people have to run around to see that she was on that territory. So that is who the man was. So his administration was completely different from what we have had at the initial. And a lot of people were not really comfortable. For me, I could say I think he did his best.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're not. I wouldn't say yes. I wouldn't say no. But I do know that yes, some things were happening in the FCT. Yeah. It may not be as how we wanted it to be. But then from what you said, he said he's one of the ministers who actually have one of the longest terms. Yes, because some ministers had 3 years, some ministers had 2 years, some had even 1 year. But looking at the list of ministers, past ministers we've had, he is one of the ministers that have one of the longest years as a minister. So let's now look at from what you've said. Now let's now come to the present person, which is Nyesom Wike, who was a former governor, and we all know his own style. When he was a governor of Rivers State. So do you think that Wike would follow the pattern of the former minister in terms of following up on the activities that were left behind, or he might just want to come and say, I want to have fresh things? Or do you think he would even have the breathing space? What do you think?
Well, for me, I am not going to judge Nyesom Wike with my judgment of the past administration. And of course, it's also too early in the day for me to jump into a conclusion on whether he's going to do better than the previous minister or otherwise. But one thing I need to say is that Wike is not a novice. He is not new to governance. Don't forget, he has been a minister before, though a junior minister, Minister of Education, and he did his bit. And he had returned again to be a minister. So if you do a particular thing over time, you become a professional. So he understands why he is here as the minister of FCT. Let us take it also from this aspect. You will agree with me, gentlemen, that in FCT, Abuja is a cosmopolitan city. Yes. Cosmopolitan in the sense that where he is coming from is a different ballgame altogether. So where he is today. In Rivers, you understand yourself, you know yourselves, they are of different culture, almost about the same culture, almost the same ethnic groups, they have the same background, they have the same understanding. But here he is faced with a city that is called a mini Nigeria. He is like a de facto president. He is like a president sitting under a president. That means every part of this country is domiciled there. Every tribe of this country is domiciled there. Every religion, you find them here. In Rivers, where he's coming from, is more or less a Christian-dominated state than that. But here, you have the Muslims, you have the Christians, you have all manner of persons. Everybody is here. Now, that means that you need to learn another style of governance here, different from what he was known to or what he is known to in Rivers. That is one. Two, he also needs to understand that here in FCT, so much has happened over time. Even though we have given it to the past administrators that they did their best, there were a lot of things that went wrong, even under the previous administration. I'll give you one instance. There are cases, situations where we will have, what do we call it now? We'll have a piece of land allocated to more than 3, 4, 5 persons. Sure. All of them having the same genuine document. So it becomes difficult for you to know who owns that land or who owns what. Now, this is the kind of things you have here in FCT. You have a situation whereby a landlord and the tenants are at war. Or in fact, tenants almost claiming the house from the landlords. You have a situation whereby uncompleted buildings left, right, and center. Now, this harbors hoodlums, miscreants. So it's a different ballgame altogether that he needs to understand. And for him to be able to put his foot on the ground and administer the governance to the best of his ability and, of course, be able to give results, he needs time to have a clear understanding of what is before him. And then he haven't done that, because if you run into governance in the FCT, honestly, you will fail. You will run out. Thank you for that one. You will run out. So he needs to have a very good understanding. But for a man of Wiki and for his style of leadership, I know that he's going to do well. I'm already saying that. But we need to add something. They said the new broom sweeps cleaner, but the old one knows its corner. You can't have a good administration here in FCT if you do not carry those who have a clear understanding of FCT along. Okay. He is a politician, he's an appointment, a political appointment. There are people who have been able to build FCT over time to the point where it is today. My advice would be that let him appoint some of them into governance, into boards, into parastatals. He dissolved a lot of parastatals and agencies in the time past. Those parastatals and agencies have not been filled. It will do Wilson Wiki well if he appoints those who have a clear understanding of FCT into those appointments. Once he's able to do that, I can bet you that he will fly and fly higher than he would have done brilliantly. Because now we made a lot of mistakes. Like the mandate secretaries that were appointed recently who are administering. Apart from one person among all the mandate secretaries, a lot of them, all the other ones were brought from outside the shops of FCT. Some of them can hardly even call the names of the area councils because they barely know the FCT. But if you bring in people who have clear understanding, if you want somebody from the Southwest that have been playing politics there for 2, 3, 4 decades, they are here. If you want somebody from the Southeast that have been in politics there for 7 decades, they are here. If you want people from the Southwest, North Central, they are all here. So you can appoint among those people to be able to assist, especially those who are professionals, to give you the desired results.
Would you say that selection was wrong? No.
The Constitution allows it. Okay. You must appoint from all the zones of the country. So he didn't do anything wrong. But that is with regards to the mandate secretaries. But away from the mandate secretaries, other appointments are bound. And that will be able to bring Wiki to speed on what he needs to do in the federal capital.
Okay, so I would like to ask you a very short question before we begin to wrap up. The question, this would be, do you think that Wiki almost made a mistake at the start? Now, why I'm asking this question is because after his appointment, the first press briefing he had, which he talked about demolition, buildings going down, and that was, a lot of people saw it as a very, it was very, I don't want to use the wrong word now, but many people felt like he was going to be stepping on toes, and that he actually stepped on toes with that statement when he kept saying it will go down. No matter who you are, no matter where it is, it will go down.
Do you think that could have started working against him at first? And you think that because after that statement, a couple of weeks after, there was a bit of a silence from him. It was more like activity when action was not happening around him, like people would like to describe. So do you think that he was called to order? Do you think that statement worked against him in the inner chambers?
Well, let me correct an impression. If we can say houses were going down, I am not of the PDP. my affiliation is not of the PDP, so I'm not holding brief for Wiki, because that is where he's coming from. In case somebody would think he's holding brief for him because they have the same affiliation, I am not. But I want to let you know that if you say some houses were going down, and no matter who you are, no matter how highly placed you are, if the house is not where it's supposed to be, it will go down.
Yeah.
Of course, it would have been right, because I told you earlier that the master plan to a very large extent has been distorted. Now, if that has been found to be true, and he wants to right the wrongs, then there is nothing wrong with that. But where it becomes a wrong thing is where it becomes political. If I'm going to take a political vendetta against my opponents, against anybody, then it becomes a complete wrong thing. Because if this studio is meant to be where it is today, and I'm going to pull it down because I have another studio somewhere, and I want my studio to be a better studio than yours, and I need to run down this studio. If we get to court, of course, it will be my word against yours for us to be able to prove who is right and who is wrong. But if the master plan is truly distorted, and you have a house on the pipeline, for instance, or in a green area, and I pull down that house, even if it's owned by the president, and I bring down the house, and I'm taken to court, of course, the facts are there to speak for itself. All I need to do is to present the facts, present the master plan, and once it's looked at, I'll be vindicated. So maybe he's slowed down because he needs to get all the facts on the table before he begins to act. Don't forget, El-Rufai was there as the Minister of FCT.
Yes.
El-Rufai did very well. If not for El-Rufai, I'm sure where you are today as a studio won't be here. Because the master plan was, in fact, it wouldn't have been as bad as it were then. It was so distorted until he came and said, no, this can happen. People returned back to start fasting, stayed in the mosque, stayed in the churches, and said, El-Rufai must die tomorrow, he will die next tomorrow. But he never died.
Absolutely.
Because he was doing what was right. And today, he is one of the ministers that is being praised, having passed through the Federal Capital Territory. So if he knows that what he's doing, and then having checked the master plan through the professionals that are around him to see that certain buildings or certain projects were where they are not supposed to be, and he decides to right those funds, of course, he has my support.
Okay. All right. One of the things we'll definitely do here on Abuja is to follow up on, the administration of Wike, and we'll definitely be giving you up-to-date information as it comes, and whatever new thing he's doing. Right now, everyone is looking at him to tackle the issue of insecurity.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking to see, okay, what is going to happen, and they're also trying to follow up on, we hear.
I think insecurity is sabotage. And I think it's everybody's business. So we really need to face it head on. Information matters. I'm not a security expert, but I think everybody's hands should be on deck. If we're able to give out information, pass information when they're supposed to be passed, that's fine. And I also believe that the security agencies can do better by ensuring that there are a lot of people moving around the streets. We see them, we throw our eyes away from them. They move around with all manner of weapons, all in the name of, I'm going to look for grasses to cut, I'm going to do this. These people can be it could be dangerous to the country. So we need to look and then ensure that proper information are passed out to the security agencies, and I'm sure they'll be on top of the game.
All right, thank you so much, Engineer Adaji, for coming to have this very wonderful and informative session with us.
He is the zonal coordinator, RS7 headquarter, and I just hope that when we call you again, you would come for us.
It's my pleasure.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on On Abuja on this particular episode. On Abuja comes to you every Wednesday and repeats on Friday, Rapid TV channel 176. My name is Cynthia Agbo. I will leave you with these words: stay out of trouble.